What if I told you to explain Scrum in 30 seconds? Could you? Well, I recently asked the same question to a group of Scrum Masters I was doing a workshop for. Explain Scrum in 30 seconds. And the answers I got were quite surprising. The first type of answer I got was related to Scrum events. In short, teams work in 2 weeks sprints, starting with a sprint planning where they plan their work and ending with a sprint retrospective. It's a good answer, but it's missing something. The second type of answer was related to people, more precisely the Scrum roles. There's a product owner, developers, a Scrum Master. They all work together, and here are their responsibilities. Good answer again, but still missing something. And the third and last type of answer I got was related to the product. The product. There's a product backlog containing product backlog items describing what we want out of this product, the requirements, the acceptance criteria. Good answer, really good answer, but I don't like it. I'm not saying that these three answers are bad, far from bad. They are all true. All these things are parts of Scrum which are described in the Scrum guide in details. But they are missing something. There's an important part missing. These answers are missing the why. Why is very important, especially when you're explaining something to someone. Why are we using Scrum? What are the benefits of Scrum? Why are we using Scrum compared to another framework? Here's how I would answer this question. I would simply start by explaining the first principle, the very first principle of the Agile Manifesto. Our highest priority is to satisfy the customer through early and continuous delivery of valuable software. That's the key. That's the highest priority. And if you look closely at Scrum, if you read the Scrum guide, the latest version, the 2020 version, you'll realize that customers' early delivery valuable software is mentioned a lot in the Scrum guide. Example, the entire Scrum team is accountable for creating valuable, useful increment every sprint. That's it. That's what Scrum is about. Every element of Scrum revolves around delivering valuable software, quality work that the customer will want to use, quality products every single sprint. And for me, that's the most important part of Scrum. There's so many benefits to that. First, greater visibility. One of the key differences between the waterfall model or other project management methods and Scrum, this framework, is stakeholders, business people, and tech people, developers, working together, collaborating every single day. And also frequent releases, stakeholders, sponsors, directors, everyone is able to see these frequent releases at every end of a sprint. Something is being released, something of value, an increment of value is being released every end of a sprint. It's something to see progress reports like waterfall model. You see progress reports every single week, every single day, maybe every single month. But it's something else to see tangible things being released, tangible product and tangible increment being released at each end of a sprint. It's always better to see it. See it working, use it. The second huge benefit of delivering work every single sprint is the ability to change directions quickly. We are getting feedback from customers, stakeholders early, consistently, frequently, every single sprint. And with this feedback, we can change direction and really build what the customer wants. There's tons of research that have been done, especially in software. What features are being used, what features that were developed are being used. And the general consensus of all these research shows that around 70 to 80% of things that are developed or added to a product, to a software, to an application, not used. And when we get this feedback early, frequently, we can really adapt and change directions quickly. Only work on things that stakeholders and customers want to use and are using right now, compared to the waterfall model where we are guessing and we are delivering something, big bang, huge application 1 year later, and we realize 1 year later that the customer has really no one wanted to use that in the first place. And that makes a huge difference for customers also. They can simply use the product way sooner. Every single sprint, every 2 weeks. new version of a product, new features which can be used. And for developers also, if you release consistently every single sprint, you reduce the risk of rework by a lot. Compare that to a waterfall model. Develop something in January and you're releasing it next year, in March next year, or in December of the same year. Obviously, there's a lot of risk involved because you took so much time to release something compared to every sprint. Every sprint, the risk of rework drastically reduces, and don't underestimate that. It has a huge impact. So how do you do that? How do you release stuff every single sprint? First, you need to create a definition of done. Definition of done is simply something created by the team, a shared understanding of what it takes for a product increment to be released. A definition of done typically has three components. First, the requirements. Simply the requirements. What do you want to include in the product? What do you want the developers to build? And the acceptance criteria. How will the team know that what was built was as per the requirements? Second, quality. Test-driven development, following the coding best practices, the design best practices, all the things related to quality. And third, non-functional requirements, things that are not really requirements used by customers or even things used by customers in the application, but extremely important like performance, scalability, legal stuff, security. Once the definition of done is created, first, ensure that it's visible by everyone in the team, and second, ensure that everything released by the team abides to this definition of done created and agreed upon by the team. I see many teams falling into the trap of considering a shippable product as done. No, that's not done. Something which is released is done, not shippable, not partially done or almost done. No, done is done. If it doesn't meet the definition of done, it's not done. And getting back to the main point of this video, everything in Scrum revolves around delivering a working increment every sprint. A valuable working increment every sprint. And you can see it every day also. It all starts with a sprint planning where the team decides, agrees on a sprint goal, but also a list of items, a list of features, a list of user stories of tasks that they believe they will be able to get to done, meet the definition of done. Every day in the daily Scrum, the team talks about how they will get things, product backlog items, sprint backlog items to done. In the sprint review, the team demos what was done. In the sprint retrospectives, the team work on how to improve, how to go faster, how to deliver more quality work, how to be more efficient, how to meet the definition of done more frequently for product backlog items. Everything in Scrum revolves around this definition of done and releasing every single sprint. If you are a Scrum Master watching this and you need to focus on one thing and one thing only, focus on that. Ensure that the most important aspect of Scrum, releasing every single sprint. Working software, valuable software. The team understands that and the team can do that. If you want more tips, insights on Agile, Scrum, personal growth, click on the video that stands out the most on the screen right now, and I'll see you in a few seconds.